Since you are so involved with security on a number of different fronts, let's talk for just a minute about cybersecurity, since that does seem to be an area of the world where we're also seeing a lot of the threat coming from. What do you think, can trade or security agreements approach that when we know that hackers are usually kind of rogue people, right. Non-state actors usually?
And in the case of China, they're state actors too. As has been publicized recently, the People's Liberation Army hackers who tried to steal security secrets from the United States, moonlight stealing commercial secrets from American companies on contract to Chinese companies. So it's mixed in China and in some other countries. I think the best way to approach cyber security is from the crime angle, and all countries, including China, including Russia, which is the source of a huge amount of cybercrime, agree that stealing credit card numbers, stealing ATM card numbers, and using it to take money out of ATMs, child pornography, these are crimes. And in fact, the police organizations of many countries cooperate to do that. Our FBI has cooperated with the Russian Secret Service, with Chinese police to go after some of these rings
and treat them as criminals rather than.
And if law, because what happens is, if the United States has evidence, we can follow the Internet Protocol address to a certain point, and then it goes into China, and then you really need the Chinese authorities to pick it up there and see where it goes, because as these cyber criminals go a hop here, a hop there, a hop there, and then they attack from this direction. Same thing with Russia. So you need cooperation to go after crime, and there is cooperation at things that we all agree are crime. Now, in theory, if you look at Chinese law, intellectual property theft is a crime. So the legal framework is there. However, it's not enforced. So the idea is
part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiation.
Yes,
right?
IP would be big too there too. So that would be a good step in that direction. So I think if we can work with the Chinese to say, okay, you agree it's a crime, we agree it's a crime. Let's go after some of these IP theft matters. Then we can have some success. However, just jawboning is not enough. We have to have some strong penalties for companies that do steal intellectual property in the United States by cyber or other means, and the Chinese officials, because they're favoring their own companies, because they have other things to do, are just not going to take part. And that has to do, I think, with denying those Chinese companies access to the U.S. market. No goods brought in, no use of our financial system, no listing on our stock exchange. We ought to do this jointly with Japan, who's also being hit by cyber crime in there. And so I think it's a combination of cooperation, but with a sanction, with a penalty on the other end of it that we're going to have to do.
Let me move kind of backwards in a way. As you've been keeping an eye on the Asia Pacific in the years since you were Pacific Commander, is there a development or two that you can think of that you didn't anticipate happening or fully appreciate that would come and influence your thinking now?
I think the things that have, let me say, disappointed rather than surprised me are some of the backsliding in areas that we thought when I was back on active duty 15 years ago were moving in the right direction. And I would give two examples. You're reading a lot about all of this confrontation in the South China Sea, oil rigs coming down into disputed waters, fishing boats bumping each other, aircraft defense zones being declared and challenged. In 2002, all of the countries around the South China Sea signed a commitment to a code of conduct, which said, we know we have a lot of disputes here, but we're going to resolve them peacefully, and we're going to make this a place that everybody can draw benefit from, which is the only way it can be solved. That the claims are just too interconnected and conflicting. And I sort of thought, good, things are going in the right direction. But the last 10 years, especially the last 5 years, things have gone to a different direction. It's become very contentious, using not military force so much, but administrative declarations, coast guards, fishing guards, and as a consequence, fish stocks are being depleted. No oil and gas is being developed, so nobody is benefiting from the place because of this this contention. So that's been disappointing. I'd say 15 years ago, I thought Thailand was well on the way to a really strong democratic government with the army out of politics. And since I left, there have been not one but 2 army coups, one of which is going on now. So it's sort of some of these areas in which I thought there was good forward progress. Taking steps back have been the surprising and disappointing. Overall, however, I think that part of Asia, East Asia, has moved in the right direction, more prosperous, more connected. Even with China's challenges to the system, China's brought 500 million people out of poverty. Good for them. I mean, that's a big number, and and they lived miserable lives, and now they live better lives. And I think as the Chinese middle class grows, they will become less patient with this autocratic government, which they have, and they'll begin to change that, and that would be a good thing. And I think that's probably one of the key things that we ought to look at in Asia.
When you look at our relationship, the U.S. relationship with Asian countries, certainly, as you say, this has changed in a big way since World War II. Do you see the changes continuing apace? I mean, are we able to meet future challenges with them as partners, do you think? Or are there still going to be areas where we don't quite see eye to eye?
Well, there are a couple of wild cards in the theater. One is North Korea. There's a very closed, brutal regime that has not full-blown nuclear weapons, but it has crude nuclear weapons, which it could actually use. It will sell technology and drugs and counterfeit goods to anybody in the world just to make money. So that is an area that could blow up in a really nasty way. Or when that regime finally falls apart, which I wish it would while we were talking here and don't know about it, but we've been hoping that for a number of years. That will be a pretty chaotic state. It's right on the border of China. The United States has troops in South Korea, so that'll be a situation that really has to be handled very, very carefully. So that's one that causes a great deal of concern. The other military disputes that you read about, the Senkaku Islands, the South China Sea, Taiwan, the underlying military balances on those are pretty stable. I mean, all sides involved have really established military positions so that trying military aggression is pretty unattractive, and China is not liable to succeed with military aggression against Taiwan. North Korea is certainly not going to succeed by military aggression against South Korea. So I think the military situation underlying it all is pretty stable, and that means that countries then turn to areas where they're not just winners and losers, but there can be winners and winners, primarily economic development, aid and all. So overall, I'm pretty optimistic that East Asia can continue the economic increase. Some other challenges are things like demographics. Korea and Japan have the lowest self-replacement rates in the world right now, and in fact, their populations are decreasing. So some pretty massive changes are going to have to take place. China is because of the one-child policy that was so still draconic measures is being enforced. Its workforce is decreasing now. So some of these social adjustments that are going to have to be made with aging populations, with working
Similar
force.
to our own.
And then we're going to be running. We baby boomers are going to impose that on our
Exactly.
on our children. So those are some things also to watch, I would say.
Thank you for the chance to chat about all of this. Admiral Dennis Blair is the former Commander-in-Chief of U.S. Pacific Forces and also former Director of National Intelligence.
Nice to be with you, Cynthia.